Hello, my name is Lisa Strutz and I'm a writing teacher here at ACA. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to uncover a mini lesson topic. A mini lesson being a short, engaging teaching point that ties directly to what you're seeing in your students' writing. This is the second part of the Writer's Workshop program, the first being what I shared with you in the first video about getting your student to write more by giving him or her more choice and creating a consistent writing schedule. After your student has had time to feel comfortable, getting used to writing every day, as well as expressing him or herself through his or her own personal topics, this is the next step in that process. And the way that I come up with mini lesson topics is through the use of two things: the 6 traits of writing and rubrics. I'll talk about the 6 traits of writing first. They are the basic components of a writing piece. So the first one you've got is ideas, which include things such as, is the writing focused? Does it have specific details? Are all the details related to main ideas? And the next trait of writing is organization. And in this trait, it focuses on the organization of the writing. Is there an engaging introduction? Is there a closing conclusion that wraps things up? Are there transitions? Does the writer sequence things that allow the reader to read through the piece easily? And the next trait is sentence fluency. Oops. There we go. Sentence fluency. That should be C. Okay. So in this particular trait, this focuses on sentences and how they're constructed and whether or not they're varied, if they're varied in length, varied in their beginnings, and varied in their structure. And then the next trait is conventions. And this is where the focus of the writing is on the editing, the grammar, punctuation, capitalization, spelling. And then after conventions, we've got word choice, which focuses on the kinds of words that the writer is using. Are the words specific? Do they create a picture in the reader's mind? Or are they more general? Do they lack energy? Are they varied? And then last, we've got voice. And this has to do with the personality behind the writing. Does it sound like the reader or the writer is engaged? That they like the topic they're writing about? Is there personality behind the writing itself? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a piece of writing from a student. This is a 2nd grade student, and I just want to show you how I would go about uncovering or picking a mini lesson topic. What's important to think about is to not just pick things based on one piece of writing that you look at, but this should be patterns that you're noticing, and as you're looking at your students' writing over the course of several different readings, and is something that he or she is ready to explore and be challenged with. So here we go. Let's first talk about the things that the student is doing well. There's an introduction. So with the organization, we've got a beginning sentence. On Sunday, I had a terrible soccer game. Introduces the reader to the topic of the piece of writing. And then at the very end here, it's also got a conclusion. It was the worst game this season. It kind of wraps up the entire piece. And then we've got in the middle 2 sentences that help to clarify things about the game. I got hit in the face and the stomach. We lost 6-1. So the structure of this piece is very well done. Okay, there's all the components that we need for the organization of it, as well as there are the great punctuation at the end of each of the sentences. There is a beginning, each of the beginning words are capitalized. And one of the things that draws my attention as I'm starting to look at this in terms of a mini lesson topic is this middle section here. As students start to get older, one of the things that in the trait of ideas is getting more and more specific with our details or with their details. So that would be a place that I would start talking to this student about her writing, is how can we start exploring our senses and expanding upon what this felt like to get hit in the face. Okay, what did I feel? Was there anything that I saw? And during the We Lost 6-1, what actually transpired during that time? So that would be something that I would start talking to this student about as a mini lesson topic. So specifically, I would talk to and create a mini lesson around details and sensory details specifically. So that's one student's piece of writing, and this was a second grade piece of writing. I'd like to now show you what how I would look at an older student's writing. So this is a fourth grade piece of writing, and once again, one of the things that I notice about his writing is there's good organization. There are paragraph breaks. He's got an introductory sentence. He's also got a concluding sentence that wraps things up, and then some details in the middle. And then again, like the other student, a good use of punctuation, periods at the end of the sentences. One of the things that I would focus on, there's actually two things that I would focus on in terms of pulling out a mini lesson. One of them being the same with the other student, which is to expand on details. So sensory details would work here, would work well here as well for things like it was very hot and dry. Is there a way that the student could use his senses to further describe that? Other things such as there are horses, quad, and ponds. We ride horses in the quad and hike most of the day. At night we play games. So here could really focus on being more specific. What games exactly does he play? What kinds of horses? What do the horses look like? What does he do while he's at the pond? What does he do with the horses? Is he riding the horses? Is he taking care of the horses? What does all of this look like? And this will help to expand his writing. The other piece that I would pull out of here and to create a mini lesson is capitalization. One of the things that I notice is that the capitalization is a little more random. We've got some missing capitalization here. We've got with the proper noun. It's capitalized here where it needs to be lowercase, as well as a few pieces here at the beginning of the sentence, and then some random capitalization in the middle of the sentence. So, and right about here. So because there's enough capitalization errors happening in this, there seems to be some confusion, and it's a good time to review and have a lesson around capitalization. Only pick one trait and specific focus to work on at a time. So I picked capitalization and details, sensory details for this particular student as mini lessons, and those would be two separate mini lessons. We want to really think about trying to not overwhelm the student with too much, and to be really be short with our mini lessons so that he or she can take that information and then go back and integrate it into his or her own writing. So in addition to showing you the writing pieces, I also wanted to just show you what a rubric looks like. So basically what you've got across the top are these numbers that show proficiency or non-proficiency, and then down the side we've got different elements of the trait. So this trait is focused on ideas, and A, which is up here, focuses on the main ideas, and B focuses on details and support. So let's go to the details and support, which is the area in which I looked, or I was going to create a mini lesson for my second grade student. And so a 4 says, include several written details and or reasons supporting the idea. Drawing, if present, relates to the main idea. So that would be for your K and 1 students, where there might be some drawings going along to add detail. And then if we go beyond that, for 5 it says features many specific, that's specific written details or reasons that develop or support the idea. And then as we go further along, not only is it specific, but interesting and important details. And then if we go the other way, back to developing, we've got offers 1 or 2 simple details in writing, but does not develop them sufficiently. And then a 2 being provides 1 or more clues or details in drawing, but does not support the main idea. And then beginning would be presents drawing and writing that is lacking details. So I would say that the second grade student is right about here in a 3 in developing, because those details were simple and not fully developed. And so I would work with her in using some more sensory details, specific language, to then have several details that are more specific to get her up to a 4. That's how you create a mini lesson topic. First, by becoming familiar with the traits, or at least having the rubrics nearby so it can help guide you in knowing what to look for in the student's writing, as well as then becoming familiar with your student's writing by looking at his or her writing, not necessarily correcting it or marking it up, but reading it along with him or her, discussing it, having opportunities to look at it and start gleaming from those readings what he or she could use some further guidance in. And that is the basics of uncovering a mini lesson topic. And in the next video, Mini Lessons Part 2, I'll show you, once you've got the mini lesson topics uncovered, how do you then proceed? What is it with the mini lesson? What does that look like? Until next time, happy writing.